Brought to you by the Las Cruces Sun News. This is Straight Shooter. What is going on, everybody? This is Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, and if you are listening right now, let me just say thank you for tuning in to Straight Shooter, the podcast where I shoot from the hip and give you everything that you need to know about the New Mexico State men's basketball team. This is episode 19 of our season-long journey, so if you're a returning listener, then welcome back. I missed you, and if you're new to the program, well, then welcome to the family. Where have you been all my life? Guys, it is crazy to say this, but this is the final episode of the regular season, so I thought, you know what? Let's do something special this time. There are two New Mexico State players who used to have their own podcast along with a friend of theirs, and who better to talk about all things New Mexico State than the guys who actually wear the jerseys on game day. So here to co-host the entire episode from start to finish is the dynamic duo, the Las Cruces natives, Tennessee Owens and Bryce Rewalt. Guys, how are you doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah,
excited for the tournament.
Thanks for having us, Justin. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you guys on here. Now, talk to me really quick. You guys had your own podcast, the Sports Triad was it called, right? Can you talk about just how that came to be?
It was so it started off. I was in a sports and society class, and I was with our friend Ethan, and one of the assignments was to make a podcast. So we turned it in, and we actually had a lot of fun with it. So that we tried to go about starting our own show, and it went from April to.
Yeah, you guys had me on as the guest for the assignment, right? And then we all did it, and we finished it like, yo, this is kind of fun. I think it was like, what, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah.
Probably anywhere like 3 to 5 months. I can't remember.
20-some episodes.
Yeah, we tried to do it every week, and then I'm sure looking back at it now, I'm sure a couple of episodes were really poorly put together. But we got better as it went along. It was a lot of fun. It was mostly just like talking sports, just like, you know, when you hit like April through the summer, you know, you don't have a whole lot of stuff to do. So I think we did it just to pass time. Yeah. Gave us a reason to all hang out with each other, and it was a lot of fun just talking sports. Yeah,
you guys had some cool guests on it, I think, as well, right? I know you had a guy from Mayfield High School. What was his name? Xavier Johnson, I think it was.
A wide receiver at UTEP. We had
Trevor Rogers, right?
Yeah, Trevor Rogers. We had the MLB World Series umpire, Ashley Randazzo's dad, Tony Randazzo. We had Justin Hawkins, Aggie legend. So we had a bunch of people on there. Ian Baker. It was a lot of fun. That was the hardest thing, to try to get guests.
Oh, yeah.
And then towards the end, we kind of focused more on getting New Mexico State athletes just because, you know, people are interested in that. So but it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started, guys. We are coming to you from a place that we like to call The Saloon. So, Barkeep, what do we have on tap for today?
On tap today is a recap of the Cal Baptist game and a preview of the WAC tournament, co-hosted by Tennessee Owens and Bryce Rewalt.
Alrighty, thank you, Barkeep. I have my lasso in hand, and it's time for our post-game roundup. The segment where we'll round up our thoughts on the most recent New Mexico State game. And in this case, the Aggies ended their regular season with a dominant 83-50 home win over Cal Baptist to become the first team in WAC history to go a perfect 16-0 in conference play. It was a great send-off for the team seniors, and since there are 3 of us here, we're each going to give our takeaway from the game. First of all, guys, just talk about that atmosphere at that game. To go 16-0, just how rewarding was that feeling?
It was rewarding for sure. I think we all had a goal in mind at the start of the league that we didn't want to lose any more games. You know, we're coming in at 6-6, going into that the Mississippi State game, and Coach talked about it. He's like, we have a chance to do something special here, and to cap it off like that with a convincing win against Cal Baptist, it was a good feeling. I think we sent a message going into the conference tournament, like, we're going to be a tough out. And, what a conference season, what a slate. It took everybody, some games were closer than others. Some were a little bit more lopsided, but I mean, I can remember some from each game that, was significant in our success of, going 16-0. So, what a year.
Yeah. And Bryce, you were one of the seniors on that team for senior night. Just how cool of a send-off was that?
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was kind of interesting seeing the crowd support. I wasn't really expecting to see that many students. I know me and Tennessee were talking about it, and it's still just like when you run down the stairs, and me and Tim always look at each other as soon as we run down the stairs, and it's like, man, I still can't believe this is happening. But I think the biggest takeaway from that game was we were really clicking on all cylinders, and I think everyone was a little bit surprised at the 33-point win. But it was so much fun down there. Both celebrating on the bench and then getting our couple minutes in at the end. So
Yeah. What's the big thing you can take away from this one, Tennessee?
I think we just defended really well. I mean, we held them to 29 from the field, 26 from three. They make free throws, so they shot 82%. But we held Aqua to 15 points on 16 shots. So I mean, we did our job on him. But I mean, anytime you hold a team to 29% from the field, you usually are in good shape in terms of the outcome of the game. But I think that Coach talks about it every game. We treat every game like the Super Bowl, and that's top to bottom. So I think we just defended really well, and they had our full attention, just like he says. And we got the scout into the game. We were, like Bryce said, we were firing on all cylinders, and when we put together a complete performance like that, it gives us a lot of confidence going into Vegas, that we can accomplish big things.
Yeah, definitely. I think the really big thing is just your guys' bench depth that you've had now. That's gone a little up and down throughout the season because of the injuries you've had, just not a lot of bodies at times.
Yeah.
But you look at this one, 30 bench points, and just everybody was stepping up. CJ Bob, even though he got the start, he's mostly been off the bench. He had a really good game. It was 10 points for him.
Yeah.
Sean Buchanan didn't score, but this guy just had such a great performance on defense. I think really just the perfect stat line that describes him as a player.
Oh, for sure.
It was 4 steals, 3 assists, a block. You mentioned his work on Milan, a guy that put up 24 points on you guys the first time around. 5 for 14 shooting this time around. Just so many guys willing to step up just whenever their number is called. Just can you talk about that mentality for the team? It seems like just everybody's ready when the moment's there.
Yeah, I think it's just being locked into what we're trying to accomplish. Everything's articulate and carefully planned out. We usually try to take away the team's crutches, and when it comes down to it, we got to play breakdown basketball and guard the ball, and keep guys out of the lane, and hold them to one shot, and get out and run. And I think when you get the production from the reserves like that, it makes us really tough to beat, any team really. But when you get 30 bench points in a college basketball game, when it's lower possession than professional basketball, then you're gonna be tough to beat. If you get 30 bench points, you're usually gonna be tough to beat. And we played really well. CJ's been playing really well, and a lot of the guys off the bench have been providing really good minutes for us. Even Big Will, whose numbers aren't really gaudy, he's provided a different type of engine in terms of complementing Yvonne. And like you said, Sean Buchanan just does what Sean Buchanan does. He's a leader for us. Not going to be the most gaudy numbers or glaring stat line, but 4 steals, 3 assists, a rebound. But a lot of the stuff he does comes off the stat sheet. He held Milan to 16 shots, 15 points. So he just does what he does. And I think everyone would agree. Bryce the same. Bryce sees it every day too.
Yeah, and also another thing, obviously, seniors were scoring, and Bryce, you got on the scoreboard there. Pretty cool way to do it. Can you talk about, I think it was a one-on-one on the free throw. You missed it, and then they just didn't go for the ball. He just wanted to put it back in. Can you talk about your thought process on that one?
So I remember when I got fouled, and I looked up at the scoreboard right away, and I was like, I'm going to have to shoot some free throws. They're not my favorite things to shoot, but I go up to the line, and being my first free throws ever, I was a little nervous, and I just had a weird feeling about the shot. And I remember it was a 1-and-1, so I knew if this comes off, which it probably will, I'm just gonna chase it down right away. And sure enough, I got a pretty good bounce off the rim, and
no one else went for it.
Nobody else moves. Yeah. So, but it was definitely relieving whenever I made it, and I saw the ref say it was a 1-and-1 and not a double bonus.
You put us at 10 offensive rebounds. That's what we like to get to. So
that's true.
All you got to do is go. Just like Coach Jan says, just go to the glass. Sometimes you get rewarded for it.
I was going to say, you guys have been rebounding really well, especially on the offensive glass lately. That has been a focal point for the team.
Yeah, we've tried to gain probably a renewed sense of offensive rebound, going to the glass, sending 3-4 to the glass, depending on who's shooting the ball, and then getting back in transition. That's the whole thing. Crash and run. Crash and get back. And I think in terms of our numbers, it's starting to show a little bit. That's our calling card, and that's what everyone talks about. So first thing on the game plan is, as soon as you see that you're playing us, we got to check out. And when you're sending 4 to the glass, you see our guys coming. It's going to be a tough game, and I think we're getting back to that. So yeah, we're rebounding the ball at a high level right now, and I think that's a big reason why we're having a lot of success.
Alrighty, guys, so that buzzer means that is all the time we have for segment number 1. Now it's time for a preview of New Mexico State's opening round game at the WAC tournament against Chicago State on Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. The Aggies swept the season series by an average of 30.5 points per contest, earning a 93-54 victory at home, followed by a 71-49 victory on the road. But one thing Jans has been consistent about when he's talking to the media, I'm sure to the players as well, is that every team gets the same amount of respect for you guys. So just what stands out when you're doing your research on the Cougars, guys?
Every team gets our full attention, just like you said. We treat every game like the Super Bowl. Jans talks about that every single day. It's March. Everybody wants to win. Anything can happen. So there's no room for error. There's no, game to take a night off. So we're going to be prepared for them just like they're probably going to prepare for us. It's March. These guys are probably hungry for a win. They haven't won in a while. There's seniors on the team that want to go out the same way we want to go out. So they're college basketball players for a reason. Division I basketball players want to play basketball, and I'm happy for them that they're going to Vegas, just especially for the seniors, because that's a tough program to play in. It's not the flashiest place to play. I'm sure it's hard to go through a season like that, but I respect them for playing, and I'm glad they're going to Vegas just for the fact that it's for the seniors and for the players that just want to play basketball, but. We're going to scout them the same way, and we're going to be ready for them, and that's top to bottom. We prepare like we're going to play 40 minutes, even though we probably won't. But, yeah, we're going to be prepared for them, and it's going to be a good way to start off the WAC tournament.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are going to have a target on your back as you have all season, with this being New Mexico State. Bryce, can you kind of talk about just, what it's like to kind of know you're going to get your best shot from other teams?
Yeah, I know. It's something we've kind of come accustomed to, obviously, especially in the WAC. Everyone knows who's kind of been running the tables for the past few years, and when you're in those other teams' shoes, it's always fun to get your shot at a team like us. And but yeah, definitely no, we understand that we're gonna get everyone's best shot, whether it be Chicago State, Grand Canyon, UTRGV, anyone. But yeah, like Tennessee said, they're a Division I basketball team, and it's March, and anything can happen in March. So yeah, we'll definitely be prepared as we've been preparing these last 2 days, and as we will these next 2 days as well.
Yeah, for sure. So Chicago State is led by Xavier Johnson, a 5'11" junior who is averaging team highs of 15.4 points, 2.8 assists, and 1.4 steals per contest. He can take it to the rim, shoot it from deep, get to the line with ease, but Johnson has only averaged 8.5 points per game on 30% shooting during the 2 matchups against the Aggies. Obviously, this is a dangerous player, but what do you think you guys have done so well to contain him so far?
I think it's just personnel, knowing who you're guarding. He's a good player. Every college basketball team in the country has good players, and he's one of them. We've done a good job on him, but I don't think that's a focal point. I think we try to take away teams' crutches and what they fall back on when things get rough. And I think it's just played out that way. He hasn't shot the ball well against us, but that could definitely change. And I'm sure he's wanted to play well against us. Everybody does want to play well against us. So yeah, he's a good player. He scored a lot of points for him. He averages 15 a game. Not so much against us, but I think that's what we do. We try to take guys away and try to take things away that players do well. So I think we're going to try to do the same thing. We don't really focus too much on putting one guy on this guy and saying this is how many points you got scored on by him, or this guy is scoring this many on whoever. It's a team. We're a team defense, and we build it a certain way for that reason. And I think that he's going to have our full attention. He's the head of the snake. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot during the game, and we're going to have to try to do our best job on him throughout the game. Yeah,
and you mentioned that it's not one guy who just guards like Xavier Johnson in this situation. It's kind of a whole flurry of guys. This backcourt, just a lot of really great defenders. We talked about Sean Buchanan, Evan Gillard II, also really good. Jabari Rice when he slides into that 2 spot. You guys, obviously, you don't play them on game days, but just in terms of scrimmaging and practice, Bryce, just how hard is it to score on these guys?
I mean, it's very hard, but it's a lot of fun. I think it kind of gives me and T a sense of pride knowing that we get to go against the best team in the WAC every single day, and but it definitely gives us some confidence. But a lot of days we're in there getting our butts kicked. But yeah, the defense has obviously a focal point of our team, and it's something Coach Jans instills in everyone here, and a lot of pride is taken in that, especially when you should see the guys when they're doing one-on-one drills and how mad they get if someone scores, or the trash talk. It's a lot of fun to be around for sure.
Yeah, they don't take it easy on you guys at all.
Oh no, and they shouldn't. Full effort. It doesn't matter. We're on the team. We practice every day the same way they do. We get reps every day just like them. So
makes you better, I'd imagine too.
And it's through the chain. Jans treats us the same way that he would treat anybody else. So I wouldn't want it any different, and I wouldn't expect them to treat us any different.
Yeah, definitely. Now, another guy to watch out for is the second half of Chicago State's 1-2 punch, and that is Andrew Lewis. He's a 6'3" junior shooting guard who is averaging 12.2 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.6 assists per game. Not someone who's going to rely on that three ball too much. It's mostly getting to the rim, drawing contact with them. Yeah. Now, Lewis averaged 11 points on 35.3% shooting during the 2 matchups against New Mexico State. So, obviously, this is a guy that likes to get to the rim. Can you guys talk about just the rim protectors you have on this squad?
Yeah, we're not the biggest. I think everyone knows that. We don't have a bunch of shot blockers. I think we're in like the 40s in terms of our amount of blocks this year. So we rely on like team defense, keeping the ball out of the paint, point of attack defense. But he's a good player. Like, he's a shot maker. He's obviously a proven scorer. He scored over 300 points this year, which around 12 a game. Mm-hmm. But he's a good player. We got to keep him out of the paint. Make him take contested twos, which is what we want, and then get out and run, holding one shot. But those are the two that we'll talk about the most over the next couple days. And, yeah, besides Xavier Johnson, he's going to be right under him in terms of where we go for scout and personnel. But yeah, he's a good player. We respect everybody the same way, and he's obviously proven scorer, and we're going to have to keep him in check.
Yeah, can you guys talk about just what the process is of doing your research on a team? Like, around what time of the week does that start? Just, is it more individual that you guys, have your assignments, or is it sitting in the film room with the whole team? Just kind of what's that like?
Yeah, it usually is about 2 days before the game is when we'll sit down and have a paper scout and have a video scout and basically break down each player. Coach kind of gives us an idea of how he plays, what he likes to do, where we can attack him, and also we go over their sets, obviously, and that's something we've had to really focus on this year, is because that's our main job when it comes to practice. And but yeah, it's usually about 2 days before we'll prepare for them, and yeah, it's a lot of mental stuff going on for sure. But
yeah, definitely. And also, just another thing, obviously, at this point in the season, you've played all of these guys twice in conference play. Are there just pretty much no surprises at this point? Like, what you're expecting when you go into these games?
Everybody knows each other. Everybody's going to prepare based off what they've seen on film, on tape, and from other games, whether you played the team you're playing or from other games in the league. But yeah, like you said, we're now hitting the time where we're playing teams for the third time. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows each other really well, and it comes down to it's a rubber match. So who's better the third time? Who can manufacture more baskets and guard each other's crutches and guard each other's stuff the best way. And usually at that point you'll figure out who wins.
Yeah, I imagine the intensity gets wrapped up in practice too, because you guys know, like, you have to be on top of your game because they know exactly what you're going to do. They know how they're going to try to stop you, and you guys have to be tip-top shape pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially this time of year too. You kind of get an idea of, we have to win the WAC tournament just like any of these other teams got to win the WAC tournament if we want to keep playing basketball. And that's kind of the mindset that we're going to look at it. And obviously, another thing, this goes back to even high school for me and T, is when it comes to any sort of bracket, tend to not look at the number next to the name. Yeah. It's once you get going, you're playing against that team, and there's no number that's going to decide who wins that game.
Yeah,
you hear it all the time. It's March, so
yeah,
it's March.
Winner go home.
Yeah, winner go home for a conference like us, and we treat it like that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I feel the big key to success for you guys in this one is to win the turnover battle. That's something you guys did really well in those 2 matchups against Chicago State. You forced an average of 17.5 turnovers per game, which you converted into an average of 27 points per contest. Just how much of it is a momentum boost as opposed to maybe getting a bucket in your half-court offense when you're able to get one off a turnover and get in transition?
Anytime you don't have to run any sets and you can just get out and play, that's beneficial for your team. You don't have to throw anything out there for another team to scout, especially in college basketball where everyone knows everybody's stuff. But yeah, if you can turn the ball over and get out and run and not have to worry about running breakdown basketball or sets, then advantage us. So yeah, obviously, like you said, if we turn them over and convert off turnovers and we take care of the ball ourselves, we'll be in good shape in any game we play all year. So that's held true all year. And most of the time, if you win the turnover battle, just like in football and any sport really, if you turn the ball over less than the team you're playing, usually you're going to be in a good chance to win the game.
Yeah, and also if you guys get a turnover, it might lead to a couple of dunks, which we had some pretty cool ones in the one against Cal Baptist. Trev with a couple, I think, an alley-oop off the backboard to himself. Yeah. You guys kind of just get, like, you know what's coming when they get on that fast break.
I think everyone blacked out in that, little segment.
Yeah, when I go back and think about those 3 dunks in a row, I just remember I had my hands on my head and I was kind of looking around like, what is going on? Like, I didn't even know Trev threw his headband into the crowd right before his lob to himself. But I remember I texted him that night because I was rewatching it, and I was like, dude, did you really throw your headband? But no.
What did you say? Like, did he kind of just describe what was going through his mind for that?
He said he blacked out too. You kind of get in those situations where you're just having so much fun. The crowd is so hyped up for you. You don't remember much.
Yeah, it's like when I told you after I made my first 3 in the opener, I said I blacked out. I don't really remember anything. Threw up a 3. I don't do that usually after threes, but I did it anyways. And and especially for him, for his family to be there, for seeing his whole family came, and they're great people, and I think that he wanted to play well for them, and just play for his family, and I think that what he put on the floor and produced that night was being instilled through his family, and I think that it meant a lot to him. It meant a lot to us for sure because they put a lot into it, and everybody comes from different backgrounds and all have different family situations, and he loves his family, and I think that he did that 100% for his family, like he talks about all the time. So I was happy for him.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Well, now I'm not going to make you guys give a score prediction for this game. I don't want to get you in any hot water, but I'll go ahead and give mine for this one. So can I get a drum roll, please? Alrighty, guys, so for this one, I'm going with New Mexico State by a score of 80-51. I think just too much scoring for Chicago State to keep up with, especially if you guys bring that defensive intensity, which you really have taken to another level as of late, and then it is on to the quarterfinals. But as you said, no game is a given, so it's going to take New Mexico State's best effort in this one. Alrighty, guys, so now it is time for segment number 3, which is going to be a bit of a rapid-fire segment. I'm going to name all 7 of the other teams in the WAC tournament, and I just want you guys to go ahead and tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind for each team. Who is the most aggressive? Who has the deepest team? Stuff like that. Are you all ready for this?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get started with the number 8 seed, Chicago State. We were talking about them a little bit just before this, but go ahead, guys. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of the Cougars?
First thing that comes to my mind is they're going to play as hard as they can. They have nothing to lose at this point, and so yeah, that's the biggest thing we're gonna have to be ready for is how hard they're gonna play, and they're gonna give us their best shot, just like all the remaining 6 other teams are gonna give us their best shot.
Yeah, I think it's just a team that wants to win a basketball game, just like everybody else in March. When you get to Vegas, you feel a different sense of energy, and it's a different environment, different intensity. So everybody wants to win. Nobody wants their season to end, and I think it's no different for Chicago State. And like Coach Janice says, everybody gets our full attention. So that's going to be no different.
Yeah, I agree. Those teams with nothing to lose can be the most dangerous sometimes for sure. So next up, the number 7 seed in the tournament, Cal State Bakersfield. What comes to your mind when you guys think about the Roadrunners?
Easily the most athletic dudes I've ever seen in person. Like, it's maybe they may not be the most skilled when it comes to ball handling and stuff like that, but when you just are out there and you're watching them right in front of you, it's unreal to watch how high these dudes jump and how fast these dudes are. It's pretty cool to see.
They play so hard. Coach Barnes, former coach of the year in the SEC, I believe, at Ole Miss, and what he is and what he believes in is what he puts on the floor with his guys, and they play extremely hard. They're really good defensively. I think both games we played has been in the 60s and 50s, so they're going to play really hard. It's a tough out. Records don't matter when you get to March. You see teams winning all the time with losing records, and I think they're going to play extremely hard. They're the last team that's won this thing, so he's had the most recent taste of a championship in this conference besides us, and I think it's going to be tough out for whoever they're playing, regardless of what night it is. They're just going to play really hard.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to the number 6 seed in the tournament is Utah Valley. What comes to your mind when you guys think about the Wolverines?
What comes to mind to me for sure is the game we had against them. So obviously they proved that they can hang with us, and they honestly probably should have won that game if it wasn't for Jabari's bank 3. Mm-hmm. But that's the main thing when I hear Utah Valley. I think of that game.
They can score. Offense hasn't been their issue all year. I mean, they put up 82 or 83 against us, whatever it was, in the 80s. Scoring is not their problem. They score 70 points a game. Defense has been their Achilles heel, and I think they have had trouble guarding teams in the past. But they got a couple guards out front that really make the make that engine go, and they got a stretch 4 with Jardine that can really stroke it, and obviously Isaiah Wright, who's probably an all WAC type of player. He's out front and he plays so hard, but yeah, they can score the ball, and I think that defensively they're a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on to the number 5 seed in the tournament is Kansas City. What comes to your guys' minds when you think about the Roos?
They're hot right now. Won 4 of their last 5, and then that 5th one they lost in overtime to Grand Canyon. So it's any team that's hot this time of year is pretty dangerous. And but yeah, they're very dangerous, and we're just excited to get to play against them if we get the chance.
I just think they have a good team for being a mid-major. I think they have a solid team. I think they know who they are. They're kind of deep. They play a lot of guys. And then Billy Dollin's a good coach. He's a proven coach. He was really good at Wright State, won 20 games a bunch of years in a row. And he in terms of preparation, I think they're up there in the conference in terms of best preparation. So if we were to play them, we know that they're going to prepare really well for us and have a really good game plan. But I just think that they know who they are, and they're just a solid team in terms of what they do. I think they know who they are, and they're like most teams in March. Teams are going to be a tough out, but I think they're well coached and they'll be well prepared for whoever they play.
Yeah, especially those teams that I think are really peaking at the right time.
For
That's
sure.
when you got to keep your eye out on that squad.
sure.
So moving on to the number 4 seed in the tournament, it is Grand Canyon, the quote-unquote rivals in the conference. What comes to your guys' mind when you think about the Lopes?
Tennessee can attest to this too. Is when it comes to the WAC tournament, GCU has always done well out there. Regardless of the seed they are, whether or not they're supposed to win a certain game, they've always performed really well out there, and they're going to give anyone their best shot.
A lot of talent. They got a lot of good players, like individual players. They run a lot of sets. They're a half-court basketball team, not a ton of breakdown basketball or get out and run. So that's what it comes down to when you play Grand Canyon. You got to guard a lot in the half court. So whatever they run, you got to be prepared for it. But yeah, a lot of individual talent. Obviously, Laver and Carlos Johnson are the head of the Snakes, and then Blackshear is a freshman, really good player out front who really handles the ball well for him and is a good point guard. But yeah, a lot of individual talent. You got to guard in the half court for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to the number 3 seed in the tournament, it is Seattle. What comes to your guys' minds when you think about the Red Hawks?
Terrell Brown. Yeah, he's good, really good player. Different type of college basketball player compared to what you see now with a lot of people shooting the 3. He's more like 17 and in. Doesn't shoot it great from 3 at 28%, but I mean, you still got to respect him a little bit out there. But a lot of his work is done, 17, 15 feet and in. He's really good. He's a stat sheet stuffer. He, leads their team, I think, in assists, and he's second in rebounds too.
Right.
So
Does it all for him.
Yeah, it doesn't turn the ball over. They don't really turn the ball over that well at all. But he's the head of the Snake, and then obviously Morgan Means and Grigsby are really good players too. But yeah, you got to guard Terrell Brown, and I think if you do that and take away their weakness or their strengths, then you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I think anytime you've got a player on the team who's a front runner for WAC Player of the Year, it's a team to look out for sure. Especially he has guys that complement him really well, like Tennessee said, Morgan Means, and I think Aaron Nettles too is dangerous
Sniper.
from 3. So yeah, Seattle's a really good ball club, especially when you got a guy named Terrell Brown on your team.
Yeah, definitely. Those Terrell Browns are dangerous
I'm
players,
still
guys.
taking my Terrell.
Of course.
I'm taking mine.
I had to get that out there. So
Always.
now the last team, the number 2 seed in the tournament is UTRGV. Guys, what comes to your mind when you think about the Vaqueros?
Even grittier. They're probably the grittiest team in the WAC. They're gonna play as hard as they possibly can. They're gonna try to get under your skin. And I know our guys love to play against competition like that, and it's a lot of fun to get to go against Levi and Jordan Jackson and Varner. Those dudes are legit, and I think they're playing really well as of late.
Talk about a team who knows exactly who they are.
Yeah.
They throw a lot of defenses at you. Coach Lou Hill, former Oklahoma guy, he has this weird style of play that works. I mean, they've increased their seed in the last 4 years, every single year. I think they went from like a 6 to a 2 in the past 4 or 5 years. So he's obviously has a program that he's running a program that knows exactly what they're doing. And like Bryce said, those 3 guys, Varner, Jackson, and Levi, they're really good players. Levi leads the country in assists or second in assists, and he knows exactly where guys are on the floor. And I think everybody loves playing with him. But they're a tough team to play. They're tough. That's what I would describe them as, a tough team.
Alrighty, guys, so that buzzer means that is all the time we have for the final segment. Shout out to Tennessee Owens and Bryce Rewalt. Handled that rapid fire like some pros because, hey, they are pros in the realm of podcast, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show. I cannot say how much I appreciate it, guys.
I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun to be on the other side of the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, guys. So like I said, that is going to do it for us here. I will be doing a podcast episode after the tournament, hopefully also previewing the NCAA tournament should the Aggies get that automatic bid. But for now, that is going to do it. For Bryce Rewalt, Tennessee Owens, I am Justin Martinez, guys, and I will see you guys next Monday. I'm out.